بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يقول حدثنا عبد الله بن عمرو بن يحيى المازني أنه قال لعبد الله بن زيد وجد عمرو بن يحيى المازني هل تستطيع أن تريني ثم ردهما حتى رجع إلى المكان ثم غسل he made masawi. He started with the front of his head, then he went with him to the nape, then he returned him until he returned it to the place which he started from, then he washed his feet. Right. So here is now, so everything is clear there in that hadith. It just said that he made iqbal first. Iqbal means coming from the front to the back, right? And idbar means from the front you go to the back. And iqbal means coming, iqbal means coming from the back to the front. And idbar means going from the front to the back. So here, although it's mentioned here like this here, but then the explanation given in the hadith shows that he went first, start from the front, and he went to the back. So although Akbala is mentioned first, Akbala means starting from the back, going to the front. But however, it happened at the second. It happened second, right? And in the next chapter, you'll find that, which will be coming there, where they say, Masaha bi ra'asihi marrataini, yabda'u bi mu'akhkhari ra'asihi. You understand? He made masa of his head twice, and he started to the back of his head. So this hadith, which is the hadith of Rubai', this is the proof for Waqi ibn al-Jarrah, who says that you start from the back. Jamhur, they take the dalil of this here, Abdullah ibn Zayd bin Asim. Imam Tirmizi says, hadith of Abdullah ibn Zayd bin Asim asah. The hadith of Abdullah bin Zayd bin Asim is more sahih. Right. وبي قال حدثنا مسدد قال حدثنا خالد بن عمرو بن يحيى المازني عن أبي عن عبد الله بن زيد بن عاصم بهذا الحديث قال فمضمض واستنشق من كف واحدة يفعل ذلك ثلاثا ثم ذكر نحوه. So Nabi Abdullah ibn Zayd bin Asim with the same hadith and said made madmada and istinshaq from one palm. Then he did that thrice. Then he did that thrice. Then he mentioned similar to the previous hadith, right? So what is making madmada istinshaq from one palm? It could mean that from the same palm that he made madmada, he used the same palm to make istinshaq, but not at the same time. After the other. You understand it? One after the other. That's the one meaning. The other meaning is that he used the same water from the palm that he was using for gargling. He used the same water for istinshaq, right? So that there is what is called wasal bain al madmadati wal istinshaq, and that is also permissible according to Ahnaf, although it is khilafi awla. According to Ahnaf, fasal is awla, right? وبيقول حدثنا أحمد بن عمرو بن سرحي قال حدثنا ابن وهب عن عمرو بن الحارثي أن حبان بن واسع حدث أن أبان حدث أنه سمع عبد الله بن زيد بن عاصم المازني يذكر أنه رأى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم فذكر وضوءه وقال ومسى رأسه بماء غير فضل يديه وغسل رجليه حتى أنقاهما. Right. That he had Abdullah ibn Zayd bin Asim Mazini mentioning that he saw Rasul some then he mentioned the wuzu of Nabi Akram and he said and he made his masa of his head with water which is not the surplus of his hands. Right, and he washed his feet until he cleansed them. Right, until he cleaned them. Right. So here now, this shows here that he used new water for masah. Right, he used new water for masah, and that will be according to what Shawafi and Hanabila they say, new water is necessary for masah of the head. Ahnaf say new water is not necessary, but rather it is sunnah. Right. And they say the riwayats of the hadith, they are coming into, they're establishing both. Some are showing new water and some are showing the same water. So it will be better to use new water because it's sunnat to use new water, but it's not for us to use new water, right? So Ahnaf's got another riwayat here, which says this, bima, right, so Ibn Lahiyas riwayat, and the wording is bima ghabara fadla yadayhi. Yeah, ghabara meaning of ma baqiya. So what it's showing here is that he used water with the wetness that remained on his hands. Use water with the wetness that remained on his hands. Right. And there's another hadith which is coming after a few hadiths, which says, Masaha bi ra'sihi min fadli ma'in kana fi yadihi. He made masah of his head with a surplus water which was on his hands. So those hadiths show that it's permissible to use, to make your masah of your head with the leftover water of your hands, right? Then he wash his feet here until he cleans them, right? Uh, so here there's no salasan mentioned here, right? It just mentioned cleansing, and therefore that is one call of the Imam Malik that you will wash your feet. You don't have to wash it thrice. You have to just wash it until you cleanse it. Where the Jamhur says no. Most of the riwayats got salasan, therefore you stick to salasan. Right. وبقول حدثنا أحمد بن محمد بن حمل قال حدثنا أبو المغيرة قال حدثنا حريز قال حدثنا عبد الرحمن بن ميسرة الحضرمي قال سمعت المقدام بن معدي كريب الكندي قال أتي رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم بوضوء فتوضأ فغسل كفيه ثلاثا وغسل وجهه ثلاثا ثم غسل ذراعيه ثلاثا ثم تمضمض واستنشق ثلاثا ثم مسح برأسه وأذنيه ظاهرهما وباطنهما. Right, now we start the hadiths uh, of Mikdam bin Ma'di Karib. Right? So what he says here now is, I heard Mikdam ibn Ma'di Karib al-Kindi saying that wuzu water was brought for Rasulullah, so he made wuzu. Then he washed his hands thrice, then he washed his face thrice, then he washed his arms thrice, then he made madmada and instinshak thrice, then he made masa of his head and his ears, the outer portion of the ears and the inner portion of the ears. Right. So here now, it shows madmada and istinshak is coming after washing of the arms, right? Which is contrary to the masnoon tartib, masnoon tartib, right? But the other nuskhas of Abu Dawud, they're showing this hadith with the masnoon tartib, right? Nevertheless, why was it mentioned like it here? To show that, why did was wuzu made like this? To show that it is, the masnoon tartib is there, but to show that it is permissible, therefore, your wuzu will be done if you do it, although you did it against the sunnah way, right? And we find that tartib, according to Ahnaf and Malikiya, is not wajib. It's sunnat, but not wajib, right? However, Imam Shafi and Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, they say it is wajib, right? And therefore, the answer they give to this hadith, they can't say now, you can't say this for bayani jawaz, because according to them, it is wajib and necessary to maintain tertib. Uh, and therefore, they say this hadith is rejected, right? And the reason that they say that tertib is wajib, according to the Shawafi and the Hanabila, is that Nabi Karim Sallam always made wuzu in the tertib, in the what sequence, and he didn't go against it. If it was permissible to make it against it, then you would have now once or twice at least made against the tertib. But he always maintained the tertib. Just as to wash thrice is sunnah, but now and then he wash less than thrice to show that it is not, that it is permissible to wash less than thrice. But sunnah is thrice, right? And then Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's hadith, ibda bima bada Allahu bihi. Start with that which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala started with. Although it was in regards to Hajj, but that hukam is am, right? So which if the Quran's got a certain tartib there, you will go with that, right? And the other reason they give is that you find that in the Quran they've got this tartib there. And in between the three washing lambs is the masah lamb. So the fact that it's mentioned in this tartib here shows that the tartib is necessary. That's what Shawaf in the Hanabila is saying. By having, otherwise you'd have put all the washing lambs together and then the masalam on its own. But now, by putting the two washing lambs, then the masalam, and then the washing of the feet, it shows that the tartib is necessary. Our answer to this here is, yes, Nabi Karim Sam always made wuzu in tartib, right? However, the actions, the mere actions does not show wujub, right? The actions itself does not show wujub. Then the other answer we say, it's not always that Nabi Akram made wuzu at tartib. There are mentioned times now, like now in this hadith here, where he went against tartib. Then we have here that also that the lums of wuzu was mentioned in the tartib. However, we find that the wow has been mentioned, and wow comes for mutlaq jama. So where ila kumtum ila salati faghsilu. When you stand up for salah, then, so in other words, there must be tartib between standing up for salah and wuzu. In other words, you can't make your salah unless you make your wuzu first. So that's where the tartib is there. Then after that, they got wow in between the limbs, and that shows mutlaq jama. Then another bahs that comes here is that now the bahs of dalk, rubbing. According to Imam Malik rahmatullah alayhi, in wuzu and ghusl, passing the hand over the limbs is wajib. Jamhur say it's not wajib, right? You just need to wet it. You understand? Whether you just pour it, but you don't have to pass your hands over, right? So if we look at now the farais of wuzu, we find that now Imam Shafi rahmallah, he's got 6 farais, right? 4 is what has been mentioned in the Quran, and this is the 4 we also say, right? And in the 5th and the 6th is niyat and tartib. Imam Malik rahmatullah alayhi, according to him, he's got 7 farais, right? 4 in the Quran, then niyat, and then making wuzu in succession. In other words, not delaying after every lam, right? And then, and rubbing also, and passing the hands over, right? And Hanabila, they also got 7 farais of wuzu, just like Imam Malik rahmatullah alayhi. However, they say they don't they put dalk there. Rather, instead of dalk, they got tartib. You got that now? All right. وبه قال حدثنا محمود بن خالد ويعقوب بن كعب الأنطاكي لفظه معا. مقدام بن معدي كلب قال رأيت الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم توضأ فلما بلغ مسح رأسه وضع كفيه على مقدمه فأمرهما حتى بلغ القفا ثم ردهما إلى المكان الذي منه بدأ قال محمود قال أخبرني حريز. Right. From the Miqdad ibn Ma'adi Khalif said, I saw Nabi was making wuzu, and when he reached the masa of his head, he placed his hands on the front of his head, and he passed them until he reached the nape. Then he retained them to the place which he started from. Mahmud says that Haris, Akhbarani Haris. So you see the difference there now. There was two ustads there of Imam Abu Dawud, right? And then they say, Walid, and then the one ustad says, An Haris ibn Husman. And then the other ustad, which is Mahmud, there's two ustads. Yaqub ibn al-Aqab al-Qata'i is saying An Haris. And Mahmud is saying Akhbarani Haris. You got that now? All right, let's see what I got here. So here you come to Masah now, right? The Masah of the nape. And therefore they say that Imam Ahmad Rahman says the Masah of the nape is mustahab. And according to Ahnaf also it is mustahab. And that is also Qawl Qadim of Imam Shafi Rahmatullah alayh. However, Imam Nawawi Rahmatullah he says that Masah Rakabah, Masah of the nape is bid'at. Right. When it comes, so that's the back of the neck, right? And when it comes to Hulkum, the front of the neck, none of them says that, right? There is no hadith. Ibn Qayyim Rahmatullah says that there is no hadith that shows that Nabi Akram ever made Masah of the nape. Right. وبه قال حدثنا محمود بن خالد وهشام بن خالد المعنى قال حدثنا الوليد بهذا الإسناد قال ومسح بأذنيه ظاهرهما وباطنهما. Right. سأل هشام وأدخل أصابعه في سماغ أذنيه. So this again now the two ustads Mahmud bin Khalid and Hisham bin Khalid, they both give the same the meaning of the two hadiths is similar, although there might be a bit difference in the wordings, right? And then Walid with the same sanad, and he's saying he made myself his ears, the outer ears and the inner ears, and Hisham adds to this now. So there's two ustads, Mahmud Khalid and Hisham. So Hisham adds, and he entered his fingers into the holes of his ears. Right. So the outcome is now you enter your thumbs, right, on the outer portion of the ears, and you enter the index finger inside in the whole of the ears, right? And then they also say there's one riwayat, they also say some fuqaha say you take the small finger and you put it in the holes of the small finger, right? And you put it into the hole of the ears, right? وبقول حدثنا مؤمل بن الفضل الحراني قال حدثنا وليد بن مسلم قال حدثنا عبد الله بن العلاء قال حدثنا أبو الأزهر المغيرة بن فروة ويزيد بن أبي مالك أن معاوية توضأ للناس كما رأى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يتوضأ فلما بلغ رأسه غرف غرفة من ماء فتلقاها بشماله حتى وضعها على وسط رأسه حتى قطر الماء أو كاد يقطر ثم مسح من مقدمه إلى مؤخره ومن مؤخره إلى مقدمه. Right, now we're coming to the hadiths of Muawiyah radiallahu anhu, how he showed Nabi Karim sallallahu alaihi wasallam wudu, right? Or how he said, right? Then in this case here, tawadda al-nas, he made wuzu for the people just as he saw Nabi Karim making wuzu. So when he reached his head, he took a scoop of water. Then he joined it with his left hand until he placed it on the middle of his head until the water dripped or it was close to dripping. Then he made masah from the front to the back and from the back to the front of his head. Right. So in that hadith here we find something new, that he took a scoop of water, and normally when you take a scoop of water, it is normally for washing. You understand? Right. So one one answer to this here is that, so obviously the wazifa of the head is masah and not ghasal, right? So one answer here is to, what they say is just that to show that ghasal takes the place of masah. If a person didn't make masah, but he washed his head, then his masah is done. You understand it? Therefore, the fuqaha have written that a person stood in the rain, right? And his whole head got wet, and his head got wet there, and the water dripped from his head. Uh, and then his masa is done, even though he didn't pass his hand over his head. Yeah. Then we find here he joined his right hand to his left hand here now. So this, they say, is uh, uh, not to transfer the water to the left hand. See, when he took that scoop of water in his right hand, it was not to transfer the water to his left hand. Rather, it was that he wanted to join both hands. Because if you take your scoop in the right hand, then you take the left hand to save the water. So the water don't go to waste. And then he put it in the middle of his head. So that was the objective, but not to transfer the water. Right. وبه قال حدثنا محمود بن خالد قال حدثنا الوليد بهذا الإسناد وقال فتوضأ ثلاثا ثلاثا وغسل رجليه بغير عدد. Right. With the same sanad, and he say he made wuzu three times, and he washed his feet without any number. He didn't say how many times he washed his feet. Right. Leave it till there, because now it's the new sahabiya, a sahaba, new sahabi, right? A sahabiya that's going to be showing wuzu.